You know what the worst feeling in the world is? I can tell you. It's when you spend 2.5 hours recording multiple videos across multiple different channels to have your mic muted the whole time. I mean, it's my fault, but yeah. So, unfortunate. In light of the fact that I just recorded a bunch of videos and then realized after that my mic was muted, I'm going to be using the replays from these videos that I recorded to talk about the tanks. So today we're going to be talking about the Concept 1B. This is a tier 10 American collector heavy, and it is an absolute beast. I am always rather confused why people do not talk about the Concept 1B that much anymore. I mean, you don't hear any talk about it from any YouTubers. And I find that honestly kind of a shame because I think the Concept 1B is still one of the strongest tier 10s in the game. Now, yes, I say that about a lot of tanks, but the Concept is one of the only vehicles that has not gotten nerfed over time. You see, in the latest updates of the game, as we know, Wargaming has changed how equipment works. They made it so that calibrated shells now gives more penetration with AP and heat, and they also made it so you get less hit points from improved assembly by 2%, and 25% less in effectiveness with enhanced armor, going from 4% to 3%. For most heavies, this was a nerf. For the E5, it made the turret cheeks worse. For the mouse, it made your hit points less or your armor worse. For the VK90, for the VK72, or the IS-7, your armor became worse. And with vehicles having more penetration, like medium tanks, tank destroyers, and other heavies, it means that your armor is even less effective. But for the Concept 1B, it doesn't matter at all. The upper plate of the Concept is always going to be a pen for most tanks. And the side armor is an auto ricochet at certain angles due to the fact that it's a very steep angle, not the effective armor it features. And the turret of this vehicle is over 400 millimeters thick, meaning that it doesn't matter how much pen the heavies have aiming at you, they're still not going to pen you. Even a Ho Reloading Gold will not pen a concept turret reliably. The only spot that you can actually pen a concept turret when it's using gun depression is usually the hatch. That's it. So the Concept 1B really didn't get hurt at all by the changes. In fact, it got buffed because the Concept went from 340 mils a heat pen to 350, now making it reliable enough to cut through Jagdpanzer E100 superstructures, E100 turret armor, basically meaning that now the Concept can deal with anything in front of it, and what is even more crazy is that the Concept features a top speed of 45 kilometers per hour with a power to weight ratio of 18. It reverses at 16, has the emergency track mechanic, meaning that even if you get tracked, you can still reverse, which is insane. The tank has crazy good dispersion, great aiming time, 2,900 DPM, and because its damage per shot is 380, it gives you a quicker reload than most vehicles that have 400 damage per shot, even if they do have slightly more DPM than you. Pair that with 10 degrees of gun depression, and I think that the Concept 1B is quite easily the strongest heavy in a good player's hands. So we're going to take a look at these two replays here, and you're going to see just what the Concept is capable of doing. I think a lot of people on paper think, oh, the Concept's not that strong because its hull armor is really bad. But that's just not the case, because a smart player like myself is not going to put my tank in a position where the hull armor being poor will ever be a problem. And by the way, while the hull armor is not great, it's not bad. You will still get bounces on your upper plate if you angle it properly. The sides of the Concept are very trolled due to the super steep angles it features, and it's not an easy tank to pen. I think a lot of people say that it's easy, but if you're up against a skilled Concept player, it is one of the most rat tanks in the game. It's not necessarily a hard tank to deal with, it's just annoying, because if it's on a ridgeline, you just ignore it and you go somewhere else. But thankfully it's not an autoloader, so at least it doesn't deal 1,230 damage like a Kron in a matter of 5.4 seconds. So in front of us we have an M60 spotted, and by the way, you can see the mobility on this tank. Look at how fast I was able to get into this position. So we have the M60 spotted, we have the T30, and I'm going to aim it on the Progetto and get a nice 423 damage shot right into his vehicle. We have the 4005, but we're not able to get a shell into that 4005, not able to get a shell into the Progetto, but we do have the IS-4, who we get a nice shot into, and the IS-4 is going to continue on crossing. So just like that, we've dealt 830 damage, and it's it's been a pretty good start for our gameplay. We get a nice shell into the T-30, but bruh, not only does he snap me on the move in a tank that's not considered accurate, but he rolls 704, which is really not great. But hey, we're up to 1500 damage already, which is pretty good. And not only that, we're doing a good job bleeding out the enemy. We're doing a good job holding. This spot where I'm at is a super important spot to hold because it gives your team massive situational advantages. The heavies all in mid are relying on me to hold this. But what I do find funny is we have a full health 907 who you're going to see camp in our spawn the entire battle, which is really annoying because if that 907 had helped me, this game could have been a lot easier. So, the enemy Progetto's dead. Good job from our IS-4, although not the best job from our IS-4 dying. I don't know what bro was doing, but he did not have the best of situational awareness, is what I will say. We have the enemy IS-4, we got the T-30, and I know for a fact that they're going to poke at some point, so I get a nice snap right into the lower plate of the IS-4. I loaded gold just to guarantee the pen, but like that, we're up to 2,200 damage dealt. The IS-4, we aim in on, he pens me for 388, we shoot him back. Not the best trade because obviously I do have less damage per shot, but not bad either. We're going to aim it on the side of the AMX, nice 450 roll, and that puts us up to 3,000 damage in this game. And while we have bled some health, we still have 1,000 left, which is really nice. So we got the IS-4, we got the M60, and this here is a really good spot for me to hide my tank and work this ridgeline. So we have the T-30. I'm not sure what he was shooting at, but he missed, and now I'm able to aim it on his tank and get a 475 max roll with my precision fire crew skill, and with everybody else absolutely nuking him for making a terrible play, you're gone. We're going to aim it on the IS-4. Nice shell into his track wheel. Now up to 3,877 damage. And now we're going to push out, aim it on the IS-4's lower plate. Miss. Bruh. That made very little sense, but welcome to World of Tanks Blitz, the game that makes very little sense. There's only 3 tanks left on their team. The IS-4 is obviously a one-shot, so I'm going to aim it right on his vehicle and slam the shell into his lower plate. The AMX and 4005, well, 4005 died, so it's just the AMX. We see him cross, we aim in. Unfortunately, we miss. This was a pretty good game for the concept, and it's a great example to showcase where the mobility, the DPM, the accuracy, and the pen all worked well. I mean, we did 4,200 damage, we earned over 80,000 credits, and finished top on the team. And this is why I love the concept so much. It's just a fantastic heavy. The gun is great, and I actually like the damage per shot. A lot of people, say, oh, 380 is not very good because, you can drive an IS-7 and get 460 or a VZ and get 460 rolls. But I actually really like the Alpha because, as I mentioned, it gives you a quick reload of only 8 seconds, which is really nice. It allows you to just rip out that damage super quickly. So this game, up against us, we have an AMX M4, a VZ55, an IS-4, and an Emil 2. For some reason, people love driving to the heavy side on mines. You'd think, oh, I'm in a heavy, so going to the heavy side's the right play. No, it's not. Because going Mines Hill is the most influential portion of the map. Because if I win this hill, I then am able to climb up to where my TVP is. And from that spot, I completely dominate the game. So we get a nice shell into the Emil 2, a 480 damage high explosive. The nicest thing about the concept is that the HE on this vehicle does the same damage as any 120mm. So while your damage per shot is 380 on the standard, the HE on this vehicle does 500. So it's actually really nice high explosive output that the vehicle features. We're going to load a gold shell and get a nice 340 damage shell into the enemy Emil 2. Just like that, we are already up to 2,000 damage. We also haven't bled a single hit point this game. So we're going to aim it on that Ritter, and we're going to take a quick blind shot because it never hurts. And then I'm going to reload one more time. You can see that a shell hit the dirt there. So I was assuming I hit the Ritter, but I actually don't think I ended up hitting that blind shot, funny enough. So what are we going to do? Well, we're now on the hill. Being on the hill gives us massive influence because we can obviously overlook all the enemy heavies. The only problem is they do have 2 tank destroyers in equidistant spots. The 4005 has not been detected yet. And if the 4005 isn't spotted yet, I'm pretty confident I know where the 4005 is. And that's right in front of me, most likely right around there. So I know the 4005 is probably there, so I'm being a little cautious. We're going to cross, and we're doing okay so far, but I would like to obviously get a little bit bit more damage out, at least in this game. So let's just aim it on where the Ritter is. We're going to load a high explosive shell. Again, the HE on this tank does more than your standard by about 20. So loading HE will give me a little bit more damage on that Ritter. We're going to load an HE on the 4005 as well, and bonk. Ooh, 518. Yep, that player is not running Small Liner. Again, the HE damage output on this vehicle is insane. You have an 8-second reload for 500 when you're able to get that HE out. So we're already up to 3,400 damage in this game. We reload again. Monk, thank you very much for that 100 HP. The Ritter is dead, which means there's only 2 tanks left. We have the AMX M454, and we have the VZ. We're going to slide down this hill, get a nice 457 shot into the AMX M4. Now we're going to push the enemy VZ55. We're going to get 1 shell into his tank right there for 362 damage. We're going to reload again. 3, a 2, a 1, and a bonk. There you go. Nice 389. Now up to 4,700 damage in this game. And I was kind of hoping we could get a little bit more out, but unfortunately, somebody shoots him for 600 right before we get it. Oh, well, I see who it is. The Grill. But yeah, pretty good game. I mean, both games are great. It shows where the mobility, the damage per minute, the solid accuracy, and everything about the concept is fantastic. I can tell you for a fact that this is one of the best tier 10s in the game. If you have it in your garage and you haven't been playing it, you're missing out. The tank is great. This battle, I earned over 95,000 credits, top on the team. It's just such a good tank because it has no weaknesses. I mean, sure, it doesn't have the best hull armor, but it has DPM, it has gun depression, so even if you're on flat ground, you can still trade with your opponents, and because you have hit points, it's usually not that big of a problem. And the Concept 1B is very mobile. You take a look at something like the T95E6, which is the most mobile heavy in tier 10. It has a power to weight of 19. The Concept, as we just went over, has a power to weight of 18. That's really not that big of a difference for a vehicle that has many more advantages over the E6. So personally, I think the Concept is an absolute beast in the current state of the game, and I would highly recommend to consider grinding it, or not grinding it, buying it if it does come out. I'll obviously share my opinions on a bundle when the vehicle does get released, but if you're looking for an all-round solid tier 10, this is the way to go. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more like this, please consider smashing that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!